Ashman, we're no Air Force Base.
Scotty, we've got interviewer Scud.
Greg Rogers.
How's it going, fellas?
Greg Rogers, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Once again, a huge crowd. Jesus.
Pretty big again, Greg. Pretty big again.
Car park was,
Yeah,
cars down the road, man.
Yeah,
Hottest ticket in.
apparently I heard tonight that actually Pete was struggling parking cars today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you got here a bit late, but yeah, we're all good.
You know, Petey was probably driving two cars at once.
That's right.
I was looking for the shuttle bus because it was end of the road, end of Milne Road.
Greg, welcome to White Magic.
Thanks for having me.
We'll bring straight in with your parents, David and Karen.
Yes.
And you were born in Cincinnati area,
Yeah, across the Ohio River, Aurora, Indiana.
and that was in 1968.
68, yeah. Family settled there in the 1800s. Mom's side came from Germany. Father's side came from England.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of history in the area. Baseball, beer. So we'd all feel at home there.
Yeah, nice.
So when you were 6 or 7, you moved down to
Moved to Florida, South Florida. Yeah, Dad got a job down there, so we decided to leave. We all didn't know what to expect, but it's Florida, no snow, summer all year round, sports. So
Yeah.
kids are like, let's do this.
Was it a good spot to grow up, or?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Like on the news, you see things. They dramatize stuff, but as a kid, it was awesome. The beach, just like here, growing up at Glen Elgar, Darwin. I always say where I'm from is kind of like Darwin because the humidity feels like 100%.
So it is like all year round heat. You don't get that.
It does get cool. Like we did have snow down south, believe it or not. Little flakes, didn't last long. I think that was 78 maybe.
Yeah.
But it did snow a little bit. But yeah, it might get down in the 50s Fahrenheit every now and then. But yeah, it'll get cool. But again, doesn't snow. You don't have to dig yourself out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty happening place, isn't it? And going back that long, you still had, there were some sort of theme parks down there, even back then?
Oh yeah. Miami Seaquarium, Busch Gardens, Disney World. You know how Tiger King's big? I don't know if it's funny,
I saw the series,
Lion Country Safari in Palm Beach, I think, was tied to that. So my sister had a photo of her holding a tiger cub when we're little.
Oh, really?
So I was joking with her to post it, put it on Facebook.
1988, you joined the Army, the Air Force.
Air Force, yes, I did.
Where were you based in Florida, or where was your first?
Before we go to that, I'll tell you how it happened. We'll get to baseball later, but there were some things happen, and I didn't know where I wanted to go. All my family's been military all the way back. So my dad used to say all the way back to the Revolutionary War, we had some. Rogers has been military. No way I was joining. No way. Then one day, come home. Hey, Dad, you want to come to the recruiter with me? Okay, sure. I was like, I don't want to get taken advantage of because they would promise you this, that, and the other.
Yeah, sure.
So my dad, he was military. He was a Green Beret in the Army, so he was Special Forces. And I grew up with a lot of military people at our VFW, so that's like your RSLs. So always around military guys. So when I wanted to join, everybody had advice. You got to do this job. You want this job. So I said, Dad, you come down with me. So when I get to the recruiter, of course, you want to be security forces, we'll get you a beret, you'll have an automatic weapon, you'll get a guard planes. So I turned to my dad and I said, hey, Dad, I'll get to be like you. Just joking. And the recruiter was like, oh, is your dad military? And me and my dad are like giggling, like, yeah. But my dad goes, he wants these jobs. So this is what we want. And then, the recruiter's kind of like, oh, so he
So
quit
the respect.
quit the act.
He knew you guys knew what you were talking about.
So me, I'm like, I want to go right away. On my own, I just decide I'm going right away. Okay, I'm in. Don't even have to sell it. Go back home. Mom wouldn't talk to my dad for a long time because you're 18. Not 18. I was little, but she's like, you kicked him out of the house. You made him leave. It's like, nah, he didn't make me. I wanted to go, Mom. I just need to get away. But yeah, she was angry with him. So yeah, I went on the plane. We went to Miami. We flew out of Miami out of our MEP station. So that's where we had to go. Do our medical and everything.
And what age was that?
That would have been 20, almost 20.
20,
Yeah.
And that straight to basic training in Texas?
From there we went, yeah, because in Miami they give you your documents. So you're going to hear this theme a lot in the military with me. They give us our documents. Do not lose this. Guard this with your life or else, right? So me, man, who's got it? Asking every minute, who's got it? You still got it? Yeah. So there's like 6 of us. None of us had ever been on a plane before, never been on a plane. We're in Miami International Airport, man, it's packed. And I'm like, man, what did I sign up for? We had to take a shuttle bus. Of course, the guy in charge of the documents left them on the shuttle bus. So we get to the gate about the board. Me, okay, you got the documents? No. I'm not going, dude. I ain't getting on the plane. You got to get on the plane. No, I'm not going to Texas without the documents. So luckily, the bus driver saw it, official U.S. government, blah, blah. So they got it to us and we got on the plane. But man, I ain't gonna lie, I was scared.
Yeah.
Then we fly in to San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base is where we went.
Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
How long was basic training? Is that 3 months?
Almost 3 months, yeah. Yeah, so we roll in. I think we got off the bus and it was nighttime. Say it was 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And that's when your whole world ends, dude. Because I tell Matt Burns, picture Full Metal Jacket and all that. Yeah. So all the branches are different. The Air Force is psychological. They really mess with your mind, man. And they
But you roll off that bus and you got guys in your face.
Oh, we had the guy come on the bus.
Yeah.
Just pointing you out. I just don't like you. Right off the bat. You might have been snickering to the guy next to you. He's got a beef with you now.
What's in your head when you're signed up thinking you want to be bullied like this?
Me, I'm laughing though, because you gotta remember my dad. My dad was strict, dude. Like, he didn't play. So I grew up with a lot of that. So it was funny. I wanted to laugh a lot, and my dad told me when I went there, don't volunteer for anything, don't stand out, and just do what they tell you. Just
and you did the total opposite of all of that.
Nah, I try to do that, but the laughing, man. I'm sorry if you're funny. I can't help it. Man. What was his name? Pyle.
Yeah,
like Pyle. I'm like.
So you've got a couple of funny stories from basic training, man.
Oh, I got a lot of funny stories.
Give us.
So when you get to basic training, you're called a rainbow. Because the way we're all dressed, you look like a bag of Skittles before you get your gear, and you walk around like that, so everybody knows you're new. So when you're there might be guys that are in their last week, just giving you shit. So you have to turn everything in, and they lock it in a room. So first thing they did is they wanted our money. So they said, write down all your serial numbers. And I'm thinking, what the hell are we writing our build serial numbers down for? We'll just do it. We don't steal here. And I'm like, but they're locking it in the door. You talking back? No, not. So you write it down. So I did that, and I'm like, okay. And I put that in my wallet in my pocket. Then they grab all your gear. So as they're back there sorting through the gear and all that, I hear what the fuck is this? And I'm like, hope he ain't talking about me. That's what everybody would have been thinking. Please don't be me, please. He goes, who the fuck brought this? What cowboy brought this? What kind of party are we running down here? And then all the training instructors go in there. So the guy had bought a box of condoms to basic training, right? No women. This is all guys. So the guys got him now, front and center. What kind of party do you think we run, cowboy? And he's walking them around the bay. Is that a girl? Does he look nice? And I'm crying, dude. I can't stop. I can't stop. There are the guys next to me. Please don't bring us in attention. Be quiet. And I'm just tears coming down. I can't help it. Can't help it. So then they quit messing with him, and you hear their necks just whip right at me. Boom. And I don't know if you know that hat, the Smokey Bear hat. But they put that up on your forehead and. Bad breath, whatever. And you were getting it,
boy.
You're getting it all. So yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, sir. Then he moved on. Then we had another guy. He's on a knee. So we're not supposed to break military bearings. Straight ahead, no eye contact, no facial expression, attention. He's on one knee, scooping activator. He's got Jerry curl. He's got a big jar of activator that would probably last 5 months, scooping it in his hair. And you're like, what is this dude doing? Because you're not gonna have hair. We're all gonna get buzz cut soon. So he tried to be slick and throw it in, and they caught him. And he went to put it away, and they're like, oh, no, keep going, put more in. So they had him just slopping it on top of his head. You're going to keep that in there.
Smoke coming out of the oil.
You're going to keep that till we get your hair cut. And I'm thinking, there's no way they're going to be able to cut it.
It's like they're going out there like glue.
You'd have to get a chisel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my experience. And I'm like, oh, Lord, help us. But from then on, it was just full on 24/7.
So you go through your 3 months, you come out of that, you get obviously deployed somewhere, or
You go to technical school. So
okay, that was the next bit.
Yeah. So like with me, because my dad and his buddies didn't tell me, because they had these jobs I wanted, I had to go in open. So you had to hope those jobs were available. So here's my military training instructor. Oh boy, you're going to get a good job, aren't you? And I'm thinking, what does he mean? And he goes, what you want to do, there's nothing available. So you better hope before we graduate, classes open up. So I wanted I wanted air crew kind of stuff. So I'm going through basic training like, please.
How long did the school part of it last? Is it
Tech school, depending on what you do, if you work on planes, could be almost 2 years. Just depends if you're doing avionics or you're a crew chief, might be a year. Just depends on what you do.
Can you say what you did?
Well, when I first went in, I was an in-flight refueler, so I was in an air crew on a KC-10. So I had to get my background checks. That they did a top secret clearance on me. FBI went back home. I was a little bit worried about that, thinking.
I said, this fucking guy lives.
I was like, I know I didn't do nothing to get me in trouble, but my buddies like to play jokes too. So I'm thinking, so if these guys go talk to the wrong guy, what will they joke around? Will they understand that this is pretty serious,
Yeah.
But no, so they did that, and then we had to go, they had an undergraduate air crew course I had to do. So you had to go to that at the club. So I stayed a little bit longer at Lackland to do that. Then I went on to Tyndall Air Force Base. I mean, not Tyndall, I'm sorry. I went on to Shepherd Air Force Base, Wichita Falls, Texas. So went there to do that part. Then you would do your survival school, and then you would go to your base where you started doing your flying and learning your job and all that.
Yeah.
So you did South Dakota, you did
like I went
Nebraska, you've done
North
you've done
Carolina. From there I went to Turkey. From there I went to Florida. I went to Australia. I went to Nebraska, Norway.
Where were you stationed in Australia?
So I went to Woomera from 95 to 99. So you'll hear a story too with a lot of my assignments that are pretty funny. So when I was at North Carolina, heaven, because I know, Scotty, you're a basketball fan. Duke, North Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest are all in a triangle. And we weren't far from there, so you could drive and go hang out on the on campus and everything. I wasn't going anywhere. My dad's like, "Why'd you join the military if you're not going to leave North Carolina?" He's like, "Well, go see the world." I'm like, "I'm good. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here forever."
Because back in those days, Duke was strong too. Like Duke.
Oh, you had Michael Jordan at North Carolina, so he was a little bit before me.
That's what I'm saying. But like after that, you had like Horace. The Duke boys. I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, Leitner. He was in the 90s.
Yeah, not Leitner, but those boys. Duke was strong, man. Duke was really strong.
Oh yeah.
Grant Hill was the guy I was trying to think. Grant Hill and lots of stuff. Those guys were strong. That'd have been a great era.
Getting tickets, you weren't getting tickets because I'd ask the civilians I work with that were from North Carolina. They'd laugh at me, talking about getting a game to Duke. Yeah, okay, sure you'll get tickets. Go up and try. You weren't getting tickets. The kids camped out to get them. The students. So there's no way I was going to.
Because they had like a student section. Then it was like anything else. It was all the alumni and all that sort of stuff. Got the big tickets.
But we had fun just going up after the parties.
Oh, yeah.
So the sororities, and all that. So yeah, it was just heaven. So then miraculously, I get orders to Panama. And I'm thinking, I didn't even volunteer to go anywhere. And my dad, next time I talked to my dad, any news? Anything happen? And I'm like, yeah, I got orders to freaking Panama. And my buddies worked in admin, so they were, assignments. And they're like, how did you get this assignment? Because you haven't even been here that long. And I'm like, that's what I want to know. So my dad was like, you'll like it there. It'll be good. And I'm just thinking, wow, okay. So I didn't
thanks,
want to.
Dad.
I didn't want to leave, but then we had the thing I told you about with when we took Manuel Noriega, Operation Just Cause, when we took the dictator out of Panama. My base was involved in that, so obviously my orders got canceled. I didn't get stationed in Panama anymore. So I'll get to how I got to Turkey. We had a buddy, there was a sergeant at the base. He'd been there, say, 10, 12 years, never went anywhere. And all of us young guys, we lived in the dorms. So all the career fields, we all knew each other from the dorms. I got with the assignments people, and I was like, hey, let's get Rich a assignment overseas, just a make-believe one. And they're like, okay, but he's not gonna like it. And I'm like, we'll worry about that later. So I'm like, let's send him to Turkey. So we're doing all this stuff, and man, he was about to break down and cry. He was freaking. And then finally I gave in. I'm like, nah, Rick, you're not going anywhere. We were just joking with you. Okay. Week or two later, I got orders sitting on my desk, and I'm like, oh, hey, Rich, let's see where you sit. Let's see where you sit me. And I open up, oh, the same place. I'm going to Turkey. And I'm looking through, and I'm like, and I didn't pay attention to it. But then they started sending me to my out processing appointments. So then I'm firing the weapon, and I'm like, man, he knows some good people to be able to get me to have to do. I'm like, still not
even going
still not even buying into it. And then it was like, no, my buddies in assignments were like, you're really going, man. And I was like, you gotta be shit.
What year was Turkey then? Was
90. I went
so
mid 90 before everything started. Yeah, we were over there.
And was that airbase? Was that Incirlik?
Incirlik Air Base, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well,
Never heard of Turkey in my life. Didn't know what to expect. Yeah. It was crazy.
It was knew about it, didn't we? We got a big kick up the ass, didn't we? So
it was crazy. It was, and I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that either.
Yeah,
so.
we got crunched. That gave us the Aussie and Kiwi.
straight up the
Anzac.
butt. Yeah.
Because that's what I said. I mentioned that to you at the club or whenever. Like Anzac, never heard anything about that when I was stationed there. Didn't really know anything about that till I lived here. Then I started hearing things. Turkey wouldn't have talked about it, so I didn't hear anything.
All right, so we're getting pretty close to Desert Storm, aren't we? Which was the 17th of January, 91.
Yeah, we were there, Desert Shield, to begin with. We started planning for Desert Shield. That's when all the world came in. So we had people coming from everywhere. Italians, Germans, Australians, British.
There was a figure of 1 million service people in that area, like Saudi Arabia up to Turkey.
Yeah. Turkey, the base just changed, like tent city everywhere. And Turkey didn't really want anybody to know. They didn't want the Muslim countries to know what we were doing from Turkey. So a lot of it was hush. They didn't want repercussions. So we didn't get recognized either, after, like say awards or decorations, because of that fact. But,
okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. So you got no medals?
We got some, but some we weren't entitled to because, they weren't included in the theater because they didn't want it known. So say like the guys in Saudi, we probably did a lot more sorties than they did, but they were recognized because it was in the theater. So yeah.
So 2:38 a.m. on the 17th, 8 Apaches line up. And they smoked 2 early warning radars there. That's the beginning of the war.
You would have saw a lot of that on the news going off. Yeah, we
We're
were all deployed, so where I was, I can't say, but we were sent ahead of time to do our mission, and they would have had missions coming from the north. So what we saw, I could tell you what we saw on the flight line. You'd see all the different aircraft lined up, getting ready to take off on the bombing runs. Yeah. Now you talk about some fired up stuff. You see these fighter pilots in the cockpit going off signals like about to smoke somebody, just and
that's the crazy thing about that war compared to World War One and World War Two is the firepower the United States had in the air dominance they had.
Well, there was 7 B-52s took off from the east coast of New York, which was a 35-hour return flight. Yeah, and they set those first missiles off, which really was the beginning after the Apaches had smoked those 2 radar dishes.
Yeah, like my dad, he was worried, and my grandpa Huffner was funny. He was a World War II airborne guy, badass. He goes, I don't want to, but if they need me, I'm ready to go tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I love that shit.
And I'm
man. I
like,
love
hey,
that
Grandpa,
shit.
you can sit this one out. I'm like, you did enough. You've done enough.
We're gonna put you up the back with the guns.
So,
Nah, he was serious though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get.
If they need me, I'll go tomorrow.
That's what I'm saying. But you just tap. I got your pop.
Yeah, we're like,
I
you send
got
this
your
one
pop.
out, you
Yeah,
send
I got
this
your
one
pop. Yeah,
And my dad was really worried because of the Army size. He goes, I don't know about this. And I said, you know, me being me, I'm like, Dad, air superiority. We control the air, man. It's gonna be ugly, dude. Trust me. So yeah, it would have been like you looking up at the fireworks. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So I was telling you, the tanks, people wouldn't sleep near them at night. You know, when them A-10s come hunting, they didn't want to be around them.
That was the Warthogs, was it?
Yeah. Nuts.
Yeah, and I should have brought it in. I'll bring it around the club when I find it. We have propaganda stuff too, so I brought a lot of stuff home from Desert. I got a lot of stuff from Desert Storm. They have propaganda pamphlets so they could surrender.
Yeah.
So one side looked like Iraqi money. So I have Iraqi money too, and if you look at it, it really looks like so you could put it in your wallet and not tell. But on the other side was a safe conduct pass. If you wanted to give up, you could walk up to a military guy and give him that.
dollar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And a lot of them did surrender that first two. I would have too. Why fight for him? You know, there's no way.
I'm sorry, dude. As I said to Ashman when we were doing this interview, like working for this interview, why would you go against the United States, man? I would get that money and I'd walk up to the first US soldier I saw and went, "Sir,
Well, it
I want out of this war."
wasn't just U.S. though. Like I said, it was all the countries. He didn't just have. He had a lot of people on his ass.
Yeah.
But there were some pamphlets. You know, some of the propaganda leaflets we dropped basically said, "Would you be?" They'd have a photo, and it was him dreaming, and it would say, "Would you rather be at home with your family, or basically, do you want to die? You want to die, or would you rather go home and be with your family and live well?" So it was pretty. The psychological part of it, they're hardcore, man.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you got the Metallica, heavy metal blasting. Yeah, but
Was that a 5-week duration, the aircraft war, was it, before it started to get on ground?
I'm not sure how long the air campaign went. It wouldn't have been long, you know, because they would have took a lot of stuff out the first 2 days. And then it would have just been, you know, ground went in, but with those strikes, they did probably launch a couple of planes to begin with, but they wouldn't have survived long. They would have been taken.
You see that footage of I think it was Death Road where they were all trying to get out and they were all on the road and everything was burnt on the road. It was just
Oh, you saw a lot of that stuff, the twisted metal and blown up. Oh yeah, all that, and the fires because they set the oil stuff on fire as they retreated. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. But Schwarzkopf, General Schwarzkopf had a video you probably saw, The Luckiest Man in Baghdad. Shows a guy going across the long bridge. The plane's got on the scope, they got it zeroed in, so it's about to be blown up. He just happens to make it to the other side, the bridge is gone.
Yeah.
But he just said, when he was showing the press the video, Luckiest Man in Baghdad, as he went across the bridge, and then in his mirror, rearview mirror, he would have saw the bridge is gone. So yeah.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely.
What about let's get towards through that war and where did you go from Turkey?
Well, after the war, you had the Kurdish people. You know how they were in northern Iraq. So Iraq didn't want them, and the Turkish didn't really want them either. So they're just stuck in limbo. So we had Provide Comfort. So what we did for Provide Comfort is we packed pallets of food, water, and then we airdropped them into the Kurdish people to help them.
Yep.
So I did that for a little while. And then after that, I got orders, and then I went to Florida. So I got sent to Panama City Beach, Florida.
So how long were you gone during that Desert Storm?
Well, I was from there. I was 90 to 92. I was at Turkey. So after the war, I was still around there for a while. Oh, I still have friends to this day that I talk to from Turkey. You know, because when I was there before Desert Storm and all that broke out, I was able to travel. So I traveled all around Turkey. And just the history, the Roman ruins, you know, there's a lot of amphitheaters. There's so much history in Turkey. Castles from early times. So we had a couple of buddies, they weren't scared to travel. A lot of people didn't want to leave the base. You know, and I said, well, I didn't come here to Turkey to just sit on base and be like I'm in America. We went out and tried to meet as many people as we could.
Yeah, nice.
So I would have one of the guys I worked with, his name was Quicksall. One day he came up to me and he goes, "You have some pretty powerful friends." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "The guys you drink with," because I used to go to this pub all the time. And he goes, "The guys you drink with at the pub." And I was like, how do you know I go? You know, I'm just like, how do you know I go there? And he goes, well, one guy's the mayor. And I'm like, no, he's not. And he's like, yeah, he's the mayor of Adana. And he started telling me these guys what they do. So the next time I went down there, I was asking them, and they're like, yeah.
What do they
like,
call
get
it? What do
the
they call
hell-
a pub over there? Do they call it a pub or?
Oh, they just have names, like say it was a Brown Derby or whatever they were called. But yeah, basically just a pub. People would line up, right? So when I came up, you know, I didn't blend in well. You know, blonde at the time, blonde hair, blue eyes. They would,
6'3", you walking
yeah.
through.
So they would bring me. They would come get me because you know, I used to have this translation book. And I would try to speak Turkish, and they'd feel sorry for me because I was butchering the hell out of it. But I was trying, you know. I was trying. So you know, merhaba. I learned Turkish, not fluent, but one guy adopted me that owned that bar, and that's how I met these people. So everybody just wanted to hang out. Half of them couldn't speak English. That was the other fun thing.
So what was it like over there? Like you're on the base, so you actually went out. What was the people like towards you guys? Like
That's the thing.
when
Some
you-
people hated us.
and you went in Sevies.
Oh yeah.
You didn't go
anywhere.
and dress.
Oh,
No. So
But they hate us. Oh yeah, and like I said, we didn't blend in. But you got to remember, and I'll admit this, a lot of Americans, when they go overseas, don't do us justice because of how they act. Talk shit, talk down to people. They expect everything to be like home. Why don't you do this or why don't you do that? It's like, you're in Turkey, man. This is their country. You got to live like them. So they had these little buses we used to ride everywhere. Domus is what they were called. And you might have 20 people squeeze in, and maybe only 11 or 10 are supposed to. So you're really packed in. Well, the guys in the back were really giving it to people because they didn't think they spoke English, just insulting them and everything. And I'm up front, kind of feeling bad because I'm not like that. You know, I wanted to have a good experience, meet people. Well, this old lady, when she got off the bus, stopped and really gave it to him in English. And I'm laughing. I'm like, fuck yeah, give it to him. I'm like, yeah. Clapping. I'm like, yeah. Because she's like, watch what you say. Everybody on this bus speaks English, and we've been listening to you for the last X number of months. And, you know, and I just was like, you know. So I would distance myself. I wouldn't go off base with just anybody.
yeah.
I had a good group of people. We met college students, and they took us around. So.
But you enjoyed that, like.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, so you got to experience the culture and the food and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Kebabs, Adana kebabs. You had your favorite guy. He knew what you wanted. It was always waiting for you.
Yeah, nice.
We had ration cards, so we could only have so much alcohol and so much cigarettes a month, but it was so expensive downtown. So me being who I am, I knew one guy in the dining hall, so I got to know him, and he liked Southern Comfort. So I'd take stuff in my backpack, and I'd meet him downtown, and we'd drink.
Yeah.
Right? So we'd go to the place or whatever, and I'd get to know him. And then when I went through the dining hall, all of a sudden I'd have lobster or steak. And people behind me would be like, we got steak today. Now they got slop.
Slop. You got slop.
How'd you get steak? I don't know. Maybe it was the last one.
That's right.
So, yeah. But one time I was down drinking with the family. Don't remember much. I remember we went to the house. We were going to go out to the club. The mom and dad were going to come, and we were playing cards. I remember all that. And then the next thing, the gendarme were the Turkish kind of like special force police. I woke up, and they were carrying me. So one's got me under the arms, and the other one's got my legs. So I freak out and kick, and whoa! So they drop me, doom, hit the ground hard. The guy screams and backs up. So they thought I was dead. So they must have checked me and thought I was dead.
What caused that?
Passing out from being drunk, you know, out cold, man. So the guy was like, so I started talking, and he's like, crazy American. And I'm like, where were you taking? I wanted to know, where were you taking me?
Not
though?
the mall.
No, I don't know where they were
They
taking
already
me.
dug the
Yeah,
hole for it.
so I ended up becoming friends with those two guys because I would see them downtown a lot. But they just dropped me, man. My head hit the pavement, and I'm thinking, oh damn! I'm like, where were you taking?
Just come back to
I
life.
I was like, I was just having a drink, just drinking.
But that's the difference between drinking the American watered down beer and actually drinking a full strength turkey beer.
Rocky, I think, is what it's like. I forget what because the Greeks call it one name and the Turks call it one name.
It was
But
a strong
you
beer,
pour
though.
water in it to water it down, and it turns milky color.
It was that strong.
We weren't pouring water in it. We were drinking it, and I didn't know what it was, so
Yeah.
I'm just drinking. you
That's
know?
nice.
But yeah, I had plenty of stories like that, because when I got to my unit, because I was new, everybody designated a drinker for the unit. This is when we couldn't go off base, so we were making a lot of money. You know, you're tax free because of the war, and you're getting hostile fire pay. So you're young and getting all this money, and you're like, well, we can't spend it anywhere. So they started putting money on you drinking. So I don't know how I got picked to be my unit's like drink guy. So I'm sitting there and they're throwing all this money on the table. And I remember thinking to myself, just don't pick tequila. Please don't. And the dude picks tequila for the first. And I'm like, you're a bleep, bleep, and bleep. So we're doing that. And we're doing 4-finger shots of everything. And the guys are telling me, you lose, it's your ass, because I just put a lot of money on you. And I'm 20, I don't know how to drink, and I was like, but it was fun,
Dude, I know how to drink, and I'm not drinking no 4 tequila shots.
We had a lot of time to kill. But like back to the question of hanging out with the people, I would send photos home, and my mom was funny because she would always say, why do they have alcohol on every photo? Because she just thought, it was against all Muslims' religion to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like, come on, Mom. I'm like, just like the Christians, you party Monday to Saturday, living it up.
Right.
Go to church. They go to church on Sunday like they didn't do nothing wrong. We're all the same. That's the one thing I found. All the same all around the world, man. Kids are the same. Grown-ups are the same.
I got a bloke
all
across the road from Lebanon, and every year he comes over, and because he goes back there for 6 months when it's cold here. And of course, he catches my eye across the road. Oh, God, I better go across the road. I've got my little esky with my 6 or 8 beers in it. I thought, nah, they don't drink. I better put that down. Well, fuck me, he packs me a coffee that just about knocked me down on the floor.
Coffee was strong.
They might not drink, but Jesus hell, they're doing the coffee.
But yeah, some did. Some were more I guess you'd say more religious than
They
the others.
smoke a lot over there, though.
Yeah, the pipe. Yeah, because I don't know if you know what Meerschaum is. The Meerschaum pipes, where they hand carve them. Have you ever seen those?
Yep.
You smoke out of them and it turns a different color. So they hand carve these. So I bought a lot of things from Turkey too. Like I wanted a chess set, the white and the brown, made out of Meerschaum.
Yeah.
But when Desert Storm happened, all these guys came in and were just paying whatever price. They didn't, because see, in the Turkish culture, they want you to haggle. It's kind of offensive to pay right off the bat.
Oh, okay.
250, here's 250. No, it doesn't go. You have to 100. No, but these guys would just
and then you end up paying 250 anyway.
Whatever. Yeah. But these guys would just pay right off the bat, and all of us are like, no, because then the prices just started going up, and it's like, well, I'm not paying it. I'm not paying that much. But the rugs, I got to see how they hand woven rugs, how they made them. Got to watch them do it, and
Did customs let it all come back into America?
You had to pay. See, I found that out later too. Customs is always gonna get a
Why's the fucking dog barking at me suitcase again?
Yeah. Customs were like, oh, you got the rugs or you have this. Yeah, I had Steins from Germany. Beer Steins. Customs
that's
got.
right. You went to Germany as well, and Italy, didn't you?
Yeah, we had temporary duties, so I've pretty much England, Italy,
you traveled the
Belgium,
world, dude.
Netherlands. Oh yeah.
Traveled the world.
My family, it was pretty cool because I met Michelle, my wife, at Woomera, and Josh was born here. He was born at Ashford, but Ella and Noah were born in Norway.
Yeah, right.
So by the time we'll say just Noah, he was born before we came back to Australia. I was in Norway, and I went to South Dakota. So not even a year, but in that year, he had already been to 4 or 5 countries, just as a 1-year-old.
What
To
year-
me, that's just fucking amazing, dude.
What year did you arrive here?
2008, we got back to Australia too. But when I was at Woomera,
Yeah,
it was
you were
90,
here prior
95
to
to
the war.
99, and then we came back in 2008. Permanent.
Yeah.
We moved back. Yeah, but the kids very blessed. We were all very blessed to be able to do what we did.
Yeah, man. The travel you've done in your life is just.
Well, even being here, I mean, like I say to people, it's making the friends, because every country I've been in, on Facebook, we're all still talking, sending messages out to each other. How you doing? How's the kids?
And that's the amazing thing, like technology today. It's like Facebook, like.
Well, you're there, aren't you? Straight away.
You're
Doesn't matter what
still
country.
connecting to the people that you're with. It's just amazing to me.
But it was learning the culture too. See, I didn't just go holiday. I got to live in all these places. So I might have been there 2-3 years. So I really got to get the culture, got to learn the language, even though I probably butchered the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Still try.
At least you tried.
But
yeah.
if you go overseas, that's the thing. You got to try because, like I said earlier, a lot of the guys before me just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. But then people would say, you're okay. You're different. And it's like, well, yeah, everybody. There's good and bad everywhere. I could come to
Exactly
Australia
right,
and meet bad guys. You can't judge but that's unfortunately they see a lot of stuff on TV too in a lot of the countries, and they think that's how we all are. So everybody thought I'm rich. Oh, you're wealthy. No.
No,
Dude,
no,
I wouldn't be in the military.
that's right. I'm a military soldier. No, I'm
Didn't
not
join the
rich.
military.
Looking from the outside then to Australia, do they look at, oh, g'day mate, g'day Skip?
The Australians too. Like when they hear your accent, yeah, girls will go wild. Like, oh, listen to the accent. Same thing.
The same thing with you.
Yeah, when they hear because you're different.
Because you Yankee boys come over here, you do all right with the girls too.
Same thing. But in Norway, we used to get Australians on the volleyball tour because the oil companies would have the sand volleyball tournaments. So you would have Australians come over playing, but also the backpackers. Australians are good at backpacking.
Oh, yeah.
I always met Australians everywhere I've been. Oh, okay, Australia. I was in Woomera, and they're like, why the hell were you in Woomera?
I remember in New York doing the Times Square thing at the ball drop on New Year's Eve, and I reckon it must have been about 7 hours without a piss. Like it really pushed me hard.
Well, you can't even do fucking 2 hours here without going for a piss.
But the beauty was by about 10 o'clock, you could hear the Aussies getting agitated because they needed a piss, right? When's this fucking line going to open up? You could hear the accent, the Australian accent stood out so clear.
Oh, yeah,
and this is like 300,000 people in Times Square sitting there. When's this fucking place going to open up? I need a piss.
And I don't know if you ever went to Outback Steakhouse, right? The big joke with that is when Michelle and I went back to visit, God bless the family. We'll take you to the Outback Steakhouse. It'll be just like Australia. And we're both like, what is the Outback Steakhouse? It's a restaurant in the States. So we're looking at the menu, Alice Springs chicken.
Oh, really?
And I was saying to my wife, what's Alice Springs chicken? Because, it's not far from Woomera.
Is it emu?
No, but it's just names they had for a bloomin' onion. So my dad, he's like, these bloomin' onions are great. Do you have them in Australia a lot? And I was like, I never heard of a bloomin' onion.
I'm going to take a step back.
Did you see it in New York when you were in New York? Did they have the Outback Steakhouse?
Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, the Outback Steakhouse.
There was
nice.
an Australian hotel there on 44th or something that we ran past one afternoon, but we never went in there. We should have, but we didn't. But it was funny.
Just Alice Springs chicken. So I just had to get it just to get it. Like I know Alice Springs. Let me try the chicken.
Try the chicken, yeah.
Just closing off on that New York thing, right? It was 7 hours without a piss, right? So I said to Reese, that's it. Fuck it. It's raining. I'm now just going to piss my pants.
Oh, no.
And I had these beautiful suede boots on, right?
You didn't.
And Reese goes, you're doing it, aren't you? And I'm going, oh, fuck.
You piss yourself.
Why did I wait 7 hours? I could have done this 4 hours ago, So anyway, cut a long story short, didn't think fuck about it. I knew that the piss ran down my left leg. My dick was just to the side. Boom. We get all the way to Florida.
My dick was just to the left.
We're going to Florida, so we fly New York down to Florida. Get through. The dog obviously didn't sniff the fucking luggage, And anyway, we get to I forget the place what it was called. Doesn't matter. It'll come to me in a minute. But I opened up the suitcase,
Oh, you stinky, pissy shit.
and I never washed my boot out because I thought it was wet. You see. So as I opened up the suitcase, everything smelled of piss in the suitcase. I thought, all right, I'm not wearing them again. So they ended up, I left them on the heater or the cooler on the outside in Florida. And that's where they stay. There's an Australian pair of boots there in Florida.
You gotta go, man.
Hey, dick to the left, piss down his boots.
Probably should have come out my pocket, mate. Hey, how much more we want to go with the war stuff? How much more you got? We're in Australia now. This is where you've settled.
Yep. Now I've changed jobs in the military too. So you have some career fields that are undermanned, and they'll reach out and grab people. They don't tell you that stuff either,
Yeah.
And my dad also didn't tell me I could have been a civilian and been a GS worker and done the same thing and get paid a lot more.
More money,
Yeah. But anyway, it wouldn't have been as fun. But I got yanked in and got put into finance now. So I just remember the aircrew guys laughing at me, right? And I'm like, oh, you little motherfucker. I was like, don't ever come to me and have to pay you, because we had to pay everybody's travel and all that.
Oh, so you went into the paying
I
the
had to go,
bills.
being the paying agent and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, so I did see a couple of them down the road at bases where they came in. I was like, oh, hey, Mr. Funny Guy.
Are you
Come
still
on.
related in the military, or is it outside the military now?
As far as me doing stuff,
What you
no,
got
I'm
to do now?
retired.
So you're out.
Yeah, I'm totally. I did my 20 years and retired. And get a
20
pension.
years, man. That's incredible. And I'll give you the big clap, man. Like, to serve your country, I don't care whether it's Australia, America, or whatever, to serve your country for 20 years, dude, I'll bow down to that. And
I'll
say
raise
that's
I'll
amazing.
raise my beer up to anybody that serves. Like I said, because I serve with all these other country members, everybody gives up so much. That's the thing people don't understand. So say like myself, the 20 years I was in, I probably could have 30 days leave a year if I was lucky, right? So I'd only get to see my family 1 month.
Yeah.
So out of the 20 years I was in, I probably only saw my family maybe
months is
1 year
12,
or 2 years worth of time.
Yeah.
So you give up a lot, man. Like a lot of deaths, grandparent, couldn't go to funerals, a lot of marriages, a lot of births, a lot of birthdays, hell, a lot of birthdays. But I always would send stuff, I'd send gifts from wherever I
It's just
was.
amazing, dude. Like, your sacrifice to your country was
And you got to
just
stay
amazing.
hard, and I'm sure there's times where you're really upset.
We all
You just-
stick together. I don't know if like your dad. We talked about your dad, Scotty. How in Vietnam was
No,
Vietnam.
no, not my dad. You're talking Mark Shot. No.
Oh, Shotty.
Yeah,
Well, I thought
Shotty.
you said you told me that one story with a guy.
My grandpa.
Oh, your grandpa.
My
Yeah,
grandpa.
your
Yeah, my grandpa. Yeah.
But everybody's probably got. What I'm going. Everybody has somebody who's probably military.
Yeah.
And those are heroes, man. You know how everybody talks sport and man. The people that serve their country, to give us the right to even sit here and do this.
Yeah, you talk about my grandpa, and that's why I relate to you guys. When I was a young kid, I didn't know what military was, but through my childhood and all that, my grandpa ended up raising me, and I found a lot about my grandpa, and I love my grandpa. He's the one that saved me.
yeah.
I would have been in jail if it wasn't for my grandpa, but he was a World War II hero, and he and I collect all his stuff, and I got his medals, and I'm proud of my grandpa. But exactly what you're saying, man. If these guys sacrifice their lives.
Because I was the same way. I probably needed to go in the military because a lot of people back then are getting in trouble. We're getting wild.
Yep.
And I just, how you just got a voice in your ear. Somebody's pulling you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to go away. Just got in my head. And my friends were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I got to go, man. I just got, but I kissed
laugh that
everybody,
much. I laugh
kissed
that much.
everybody
I've gotta
goodbye though. So see, when I talk to friends back home, I see them at 19 and 20. I don't see them as 50 something adults because I've never known them. I just see us as kids. So we all still have that kid at heart. When we joke around, we're still kids, man. But I don't know anybody old. I might have seen them when I went home, but usually my time was with my family. I didn't really run around with a lot of people. I had to see my family. I didn't get to see them much. I'd catch up with a few guys, the real good friends. But you see them and it's like, he's got 3 kids and what? Wow. So we raised the beer.
52
Yeah, we raised the beer the other day on. It's like, here's to us making over 50. Clink, clink,
fuck yeah.
clink, clink.
Fuck yeah.
Fingers crossed. We'll keep going.
Well,
But how you mentioned Shotty's father too, I got mad respect for him because my dad worked with what he did, in the tunnels. He worked with a lot of them, worked with my dad, so got mad. Like I said, I just love talking to people, finding out if they're military, but a lot of them don't want to talk though. See, and that
was my grandpa too. My grandpa, I tried to, I think there was twice in his life we went to an RSL club. He wasn't talking to me, but I happened to be around when he was getting drunk, talking to his friends, and then I heard some amazing stories what he went through, and I'm like, and I'm the same as you, like Mark Shotton's dad. Mad respect.
Thank
for
him
those
for
guys.
his service. If he wants to say something, I'll
seriously,
gladly listen.
You don't have to go too far down the road. There's rats at the brook in Tea Tree Gully.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot here.
Yeah.
You go over to across the what's it called there? Across the Gulf there. Port Vincent. You go to the little cemetery there.
Oh, they're
There's
everywhere,
heaps
man.
of light horsemen in there.
Oh, like I
There's
said,
not
man,
one.
heroes, man, because I had people under me, as I made rank and I had people work for me. You might have a single parent that might have 3 kids. They come to you tomorrow and say, you're going temporary duty for the next 2 years. Goodbye. Leave in the morning.
That's right.
You don't have time to say, what about my, all that has to already be set up. Already have to be set up. So
Oh, yeah.
as a unit, though, we all have everybody's back. Your spouse won't have to worry about nothing while you're gone. Yard's going to get mowed.
It's a community, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right,
if they need any. And it was like that with my wife, because when 9/11 happened, I was in my chief's office when the first plane hit, and I remember saying to him, that's not an accident, Chief. You know that's not an accident. And then the second one hit, and he's like, yep, this is going to get bad. So a couple weeks down the road, I come home, and I go to Michelle.
Jeez.
I have to go to Pakistan tomorrow. And she's like, what's in Pakistan? Because you got to remember, when we were at Woomera, it was kind of like we weren't in the military. We're in the outback. There's like a couple hundred of us. We're not in the big units, and we're not deploying. So I said to her, when we go to Nebraska, it's going to be a real eye-opener for you. Now, she had never, lived in America. We got Josh. She's on her own, and they're talking about sending me. And I said, but everybody will take care of you. Don't worry. So I had to get my passport. I'm struggling to get all this stuff ready. And at the end of the day, somebody higher ranking stole the job from me and said, you're not going, I'm going. Oh. So I was kind of like, okay, but that's how it usually works, because a lot of us, you get more things as you go overseas. You might make rank quicker. You might get paid more money.
Yep.
If you're in for the
medal
if that's what. But you got to go over where the action is. So all those guys are like, no, I'm going. Yeah. So I was kind of like, hey.
I got a young family, so good luck.
You want to talk about the Australian horses? Or?
No. I think we're talking about when he came to Woomera and when he landed in Woomera.
Yeah, Woomera was funny. Taking the prop plane, and then the landing strip comes out of nowhere. And
the hot air trying to
I'm like,
off the
I was
ground.
like, all right.
Petey knows all that, don't you, mate? Petey flew the plane.
No, it was good, man. Well, you'd have to go back to when I was a kid. See, I grew up surfing, skateboarding, and all that, and we knew Australia. And I can remember a buddy had the Australian flag in his bedroom. And I was like, man, I'd love to go to Australia one day, And as I got my orders, I thought back to that time, stuff's meant to be whatever. But how I got the orders to Australia is a funny story too, because remember what I said about Turkey. They were going to deploy me to do something for finance, and I didn't want to really do it because we were going to be the first team in. And they're like, oh, it'll be great. It'll give you exposure. And I'm like, nah, I'm happy here. I'm on the beach. I'm good. I don't want to go nowhere. We're playing sport. I don't want to go anywhere. So I joke with him and I say, hey, sir, I can't go. I got orders to Australia. And he goes, yeah, so do I. No shit, man. A couple of days later, I had orders to Australia. And the commander comes in, who the F do you know? Who do you know? And I was like, I was just kidding, because we apply for jobs when we want to go places.
Yeah.
There's positions open, right? So I would have saw Australia out there, and I just put it on there for shits and giggles. I knew I wasn't never going to get it, but somebody backed out and didn't want to go. Boom, you're going to Australia. So they're like, who's this effing guy? How did you do that? So nice. I'm like, yes, I'm coming to Australia, man. It was the greatest assignment we ever had.
Yeah.
I'd put it number 1 and Norway number 2.
Yeah. I'd like to go to Norway one time. I reckon Norway's
hard. I think Bear Grylls goes to Norway, doesn't he, without underpants.
The only thing with Australia, because we're so far, it's so expensive.
We're a long way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I'm in Norway, we would get in the car. Where do you want to go on a long weekend? Amsterdam. Off you go. Because in the old days, you had customs had to stop you at the border. You had to stop, passport. With the EU, most of the borders are open now. So customs aren't out there a lot. They do random checks every now and then, but you just drive and go wherever you want to go. So in Norway, we'd catch a ferry down to Denmark. So you'd have your car, drive through Denmark, go to Legoland, for the little kids, whatever. Yeah. Get into Germany, then Belgium. You might go to, Amsterdam, Netherlands.
You just country
wherever you want to go. Went to Rome.
So
went to Rome. A lot of people like to fly. I'm opposite. Even in Australia, I'd rather drive because I've never been these places. I want to see as much as I can. So I don't care if it takes me days to get there. I just want to absorb it all in and stop. And
there's nothing like driving through the bush for fucking 4 days and seeing nothing but flat fucking bush.
It's better than 13 and a half hours on a fucking plane, I tell you.
All right, we're going to go to the sporting career now?
Sure. You got any more you want to...
I'll just tell you one more funny story when we were shooting. So, and a lot of my family.
Where are we? What country are we in?
Well, this is in basic. This isn't
this is
basic.
in
This is me
Texas.
getting certified, right? I told you a lot of my family were military, and they're all hunters, expert shots. Seen them do amazing things growing up.
Yeah.
So they want me to come home and shoot with them, right? So I'm in basic training. Basic training, and the drill sergeant is telling me what silhouettes to hit. You know, because we're at the combat arms course. So you got guys in red caps that have 9 mils on their hip in case anybody gets up. Their job's to take them out because we're live firing with ammo. I could be crazy and just start shooting everybody.
We should have done in terrorist situations. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there shooting the silhouettes, and they check the targets, and he starts going off on me. You didn't fucking hit one. You're an embarrassment. And I'm like, I was dead center, every one of them. He goes, you got eyes? Look. And he's showing me, and there wasn't a hit on there. And I'm like, I wasn't shooting them. I'm like, look over here. I had shot the wrong targets. That even set him off more. You don't know how
So you're shooting across range.
You don't know how to follow instructions. You're special. And I'm like, trying not to stand out like Dad said. I'm just thinking, man, this ain't working well for me. So I did that. So then as I'm shooting.
Wait, didn't work well, but it went 20 years.
Yeah, odds of waves. So then another one. So now we're really going for our qualification. And they told you to raise your hand if anything goes wrong. Do not get up. Do not just jump up.
Because
you probably would get taken out.
Yeah.
So as I'm shooting, the guy next to me, my shells are bouncing and going in his top. And them things, oh man. And I hear him. And I'm like, don't get up. Do not get up. But you got so much time. You got to shoot. I'm like, I'm still shooting. You know, you'll be all right. And I'm like, just take it. You know, and I was like, raise your hand if you can't take it. Raise your hand. And finally he throws his hand up. He rips it. He's throwing it down. And I'm just looking at him like, man, I would have raised my hand when the first one hit.
The first one went through.
Yeah, I wouldn't have waited until I went through my clip. I would have been like, I gotta. But yeah, and so then that got him mad at me. And I'm like, how's that my, I'm thinking, how's that my fault?
Yeah, my show's going that way.
And I said, and then I'm talking to him, and he's like, did you even shoot growing up? And I said, sir, where I'm from, we just roll the window down. And we drive away. We don't care if we hit nothing. He didn't think that was funny either. I thought it was pretty funny, but he's
That's funny.
the drive by. I'm like, we just drive by. We don't care if we hit a target. But yeah. So yeah, I got yelled at a lot.
All right, so we're gonna start on your sport, man. And every guest we've had, man, I start. Where did it start from? Like, where did you find baseball in Australia? Well, it's pretty obvious where you found your baseball, man. Like you come from baseball country, man. Like
did you play baseball in Woomera?
Really?
Or did you?
No, I'm talking about when you.
But before that, my family come from basketball country. Bobby Knight, Indiana. I was an outcast because I like baseball. My cousins were like, play basketball. I like.
So
baseball.
in Indiana, and
Yeah,
all through
before
there.
we moved to Florida, when I was little, I can remember being 4 or 5. My dad giving me a bat, a glove, and a ball. Now, one thing around the club, you can ask anybody. I talk baseball 24/7.
Yeah.
A lot of people are probably like, man, damn, he talks too much baseball. I was even worse when I was a little kid. Pitch to me, throw. So all cousins.
But Indiana and all that sort of stuff.
Basketball.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I used to play, I'll get the basketball, but yeah, I grew up playing basketball, but sometimes I couldn't get guys to play with me, so I would throw the ball up, smash it, walk and get it, smash it again, walk and get it, and do that the boundary of the big backyard. I would just do that all day. Then Dad gets home, pitch. It's like, man, is that all this kid does is want to do base? Yeah, that's all I ever wanted to do. Shoot. Yeah, I would do that too, but nah. So Indiana.
I get one thing why he's on first these days. He can't hit a fucking target.
Nah.
Or not his own target. Sorry, Greg.
He's showing a crossway.
Well, I don't have a cannon like that no more either. I wish. But yeah, so when I was in Indiana, I wasn't really old enough to play organized sport. I was, set. Like here, I think you do T-ball 4 or 5, maybe 7. Around 7 is when we did it back then, 7, 8. Yeah. So I just remember we moved to Florida. So basketball I was doing. Baseball, though, that was always, is there a baseball team? So I got on a T-ball team, and then from there, it just boom. But you know, the thing about my dad moving around too, I was always the new kid, so it was hard being young.
Would have been real hard, man.
Yeah,
Army
but play sport. That's what I found at a young age. You know, kids get judged. You know, do you have money? Are you this? Are you popular? Well, on the sport field, none of that shit means nothing. Can you back it up? Can you play? So, man, on the sports field, it was heaven because all I had to do was play. I got judged by how I played on the field.
It's not out of here.
And then you come out of your shell because, you know, school, I didn't really care. You know, I got by, but I knew I was never going to be a doctor, and I'm going to get this high level. But sports, I felt I felt at ease on any sport field.
That's a great example, man. When you can turn around and say, look, like you're a new kid, all right, I'm going to go on to whatever sporting field and show, hey, judge me on what I can do here.
You might beat me up and bully me the next day at school, but on the field, now you're in my house. You know, now I can control stuff. You can't make me play bad. I'm controlling. Awesome. But you got to back it up too. You know, you got to play well. Awesome. But yeah, it opened up doors just like here. You know, you meet people, you get brought in the group. Yeah. Everybody's like, hey, this is the new guy. He's all right. He's with us. He plays ball. Basketball was like that, you know, growing up. I told Ash it was funny. In Indiana, I didn't know a lot of black people. So I'm not trying to be funny. It just when I moved to Florida and I went to play basketball, they were always like, what are you playing basketball for, white boy?
I guess,
you know, they just laugh, you know, and they're like, better be able to shoot. But playing on the playground, you know, that we were lucky where we lived. We had a elementary school, your primary school. So we had baseball fields, football field, basketball courts, every day of the week and every weekend, neighborhood kids.
That's awesome.
There were so many people who came out of my neighborhood and area that went pro, and so many, just if you could go back in time and see the games. Just amazing. And it, you know, so I'll give a shout out Plamosa Elementary, 3rd Street crew. Like, if anybody did see this from back home, man, I'm games. I would give anything to go back. Just fun.
I'm telling you right now, man, I would give anything just to go to have that experience, man. Because I'm, as you know, I'm a basketball, American football background. Yeah. We didn't have that. Where you come from, you got to play every weekend, and you got beat up, or you got whatever, and you had to earn your stripes.
Oh yeah, well that's why I said, to me, that's what I love to hear about, like this show, and I want people to tell me, how'd you get into baseball? Because being American, you know, I'm like, damn, you guys play baseball in Australia? So I'm at Woomera. And I heard they had a baseball team. So a lot of my assignments, I kind of picked because I knew they played sport there.
Yeah.
And the commanders liked if somebody came in and could play, you might get sent somewhere because you played football or you were
I played about, they were called the Redbacks. And that was from Woomera. It was an American football team.
Oh yeah, they would have went to the Air Force Academy, NCAA.
But we played those guys once a year.
Oh yeah.
The South Australian team, we went up and played. I played them twice in Alice Springs, and we played them once down here. And those guys were fucking amazing, dude.
Oh yeah.
And just huge. Like, have you ever played pro? No, but you see these guys play, and they were just amazing athletes.
You were talking about one of the Air Force bases off of Japan. There was it Cuba. Where was it you were playing?
Oh well, in Europe. When you play in Europe, the Cuban national team would tour, and you'd get to play against them.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of Japanese, wasn't there, that would fly over and do
the Cubans in Norway, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Norwegian girls would go on holiday in Cuba, and a lot of them were marrying the Cuban guys, so there was a lot of Cubans in Norway that played ball. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that because I got funny stories about that. But when I was at Woomera, we had one guy, Nakia Addison was his name. He played at the Air Force Academy. He was a NCAA, so he would have played a lot of the people in the Western Athletic Conference, I think they were at the time. So you had guys. My whole military career, I had people I played sport with that were all NCAA players, maybe minor league guys.
Did well. One of the other questions I got, did you ever play AFL or did you ever play cricket?
We did cricket up there. The Australians would play us in baseball, softball, and we would play them in cricket. Cricket, we did well because of baseball. Fielding, we were good. Batting, not so much because it's a whole different ball game. When we would swing, we kept asking, how come the ball keeps going up in the air? Because I thought I hit it well, and they're like, you hit it on the edge, you're hitting the edge, and it's, and we're like,
just topping it up,
tipping it flat.
Yeah, topping it up. So like obviously you were high school and then you went to college. So did you play any college?
Yeah, I did. We when you're in America, if you go to a 4-year school, you can't get drafted till you're a junior. If you go to a 2-year school, you can get drafted your first year. Yeah. Well, tying in the military, if I knew a lot of things, like we all say, if I knew a lot of things back then like I do now, I went to school with a lot of guys who probably should have made higher level, but we didn't have the coaches who were supportive that were going to get the scholarships and whatnot. Because back then we didn't have social media like you do now. You couldn't just put a video out. You had to hope a scout was coming to watch Ash, and you just happened to have a good game that day, and he saw you too. So unless your team was winning, you're like top in the state, you aren't going to have people come watch you. They're not going to watch the bottom clubs. So a lot of guys in America go unnoticed. There's so many people who could have probably played higher. They just weren't in the right place at the right time. So I was one of those guys. I had to try out too. Yeah. So, I bounced around. And the thing in the States too, not everybody goes to uni. Like, here, I think it's probably easier to get loans and whatnot to go to uni. In the States, it's rare. Like some families probably have all family went to uni, and then you got maybe this family. Like when I graduated, me and 2 of my cousins were it in our family. And it was a bit in my mom and dad. It was just me. So it was a big deal. Well, my dad was always about school. I'm about ball. So my dad said to me, if you go to college, are you going to study or are you going to play ball? Shit, I'm going to party. I'm partying and playing ball. He goes, big fella, you better get a good summer job because I'm not giving you a damn dime. And I was like, I don't blame. I didn't blame.
That's understandable.
But it was cool. I go to register. Mom comes with me. She wants to see what it's like. And it was cool. But then I got a invitation. I got invited to the Reds, so I got a special closed invitation, and I'm thinking, I want to try to go pro. I don't even want to go to college. So I went to Tampa to try out for the Reds. Tommy Helms and them were there Coach Helms was doing the tryout. So I've told Matt Burns the story. And I was an outfielder back in the day. So I used to catch. But if I was my size now, I probably would have got signed right away. But, maybe 170, whatever. And they're like, you're too small to be a catcher. Brian and Danny Doyle from the Yankees were scouting me. I went to a camp. And they said, if you gain 30 more pounds, we'll talk to you about catching, but you're not an effing catcher. You're this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I'm a catcher. I'm a catcher. So I went to the outfield. Well, when I went to try out for the Reds, they had a few guys. You might have heard of them. Paul O'Neill, who used to play for the Yankees. Eric Davis, Cal Daniels, Max Vernable.
You actually tried out for
Well, I was trying. I got asked to go, so I thought I had a good shot, but not as an outfielder, and that's what they told me. See, in our tryout, we had to run 40-yard dash or the equivalent of first base. You're getting clocked. So if you weren't under 4.0, you're gone. You can't run 4.0, cut. So that was the first part of it. Next part, we did infield, outfield.
Old Tibbetts would have been fat, wouldn't he?
Well, not when you're 20. Not when you're 18, 19 years old.
I think he would have.
You should 18, 19 people can run. You can run faster than 4.0. So we get to the infield, outfield. Now that's where I'm coming in because my arm was strong, and I was a right fielder. No cutoff. They made the guys sit down, so whatever base you're throwing to, you had to hit it. They wanted to see your arm strength. So in left, there might have been 30 dudes, center 30 dudes, right field 30 dudes. And you're waiting for all these guys to go for your one shot. And I'm just thinking, just catch it, don't drop it, don't try to scoop it in, goes through your legs, you're just stressing.
How'd you go?
Well, when I went, I'll just say my dad wouldn't go with me. Because he was mad I didn't want to go to school. He told me, wait. He's like, if they want you, they'll wait, is what he said. If they really want you, they'll wait. Education. Like I said, if I knew now, you go back. Mom went with me, right? So mom's in the stands, and she would get nervous when she watched me play. Yeah. So I could see her up there,
She in the house.
So I did all right. Boom, boom. I'm firing, zipping it. Then they call us in. They called like 3 or 4 of us in. So I'm thinking, great, I got cut. I'm thinking I got cut now because they're calling me in. All them people are looking. So I'm like, oh, well, I gave it a good shot. But no, he goes, I want you to go to third base. And I'm like, oh shit. Never played third base in my life. And you're talking a high level, man. I'm like, okay.
You're trying out for a protein,
Nah,
dude. That's
yeah.
a high level. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can play. I'm like, sure. Shit in my
Can I have a
hands,
box
dude.
for my teeth? as
So you
well?
know how we do infield, outfield? Them dudes are hitting laser beams at you at third. Laser beams. And I'm like, I'm doing okay. He bunts one.
With the outfielder's glove on too, not a. not-
So you dashed in towards
He
home
bunted
plate.
one, so I went to barehand it and fired it, and then went 5 rows up in the stadium. Get your fucking ass in the outfield. Go back to the outfield. You know, I was like, I gave it, and my mom was like, "Why did you go to third?" I'm like, "Shit,
They
I would
told
have
me-
did
me that,
whatever
yeah,
they
yeah.
told me." But now he talked to me because they had Sabo. I don't know if you know Chris Sabo. He was coming up. So third, their thing to me was, if you can show us you can play third, we'll probably sign you. If you go outfield, you're never gonna play for us. But I was like, I gave it a shot. You know, then
That's an awesome story, dude.
as
That's
they
an awesome
always
story.
do, they want you to pitch. We'll make you a pitcher. You throw hard. I don't want to pitch. Give it a shot. Blow my arm out. Done. Done. Pissed, mad. What happens now? Get better and we'll bring you back. Then it's like a revolving door. Then the next guy comes, you know. Always
Oh,
somebody
yeah,
behind you,
oh,
man.
dude.
They could give a fuck.
fucking
Always
sad.
somebody behind you.
Over there, man. It's just.
But I had so many friends I grew up with that made it, though. Just unbelievable, the guys. But I will say, nobody was an everyday player, though. I've never played or known anybody who made it to the actual major leagues is an everyday player. Everybody who's made it was a pitcher. If you're an everyday player, you're a bad mofo. You are a bad mofo.
At least you had to go at third.
Oh
mate.
man,
At least you had to
I
go.
would have done whatever.
Hopefully you hit a small kid in
I
the
would have
stand,
done.
mate.
I would have done whatever. But it was just cool. You know, the whole experience was just
that's
cool.
cool.
But when I tore my arm, though, that's how I ended up in the military, because I did go to another school. They offered me a scholarship, but I couldn't play like I wanted to, and that's when they're like, play first. And I'm like, yeah, I can play first. I'll do first. But then the money part of it, so it was probably like 40,000 a year tuition. And I'm like, with the scholarship, he goes, yeah, we'll pay half. And I'm thinking, shit, if I had 20-something grand in my pocket, I wouldn't even go to school. You know, this is me. If I had 20-something a year, I wouldn't
There's
even go to
very
school.
similarities to me, I'll tell you.
I'll be out in Florida and drinking.
Yeah, I would go surfing or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
that's
like,
right.
if I got 20,000 in my pocket.
Hey, Greggy, we're up to about a minute 10, is it?
Yeah, about that.
All right.
I got one story, man. I got one story I want to ask, man.
This is only for Reese.
No, I got one story. I got one story. I remember going, I think it was my first ever Div 6 home game, and Greg was umpiring.
I remember this
We're
one.
in trouble.
Do you want to tell that? Do you want to start with that
Well,
story?
sure. We were all on the.
We were
on
waiting on the
ground.
sideline, yeah.
We were spectators, and Greg had put his arm up to you, of course, to go out there.
I got picked.
and be the umpire for the game. And anyway, you can help me out here as well. There was a couple of dudes, I reckon, sitting on.
Yeah, we're
the
playing West.
outside
Are we
of
going to
the-
say the team or not say
Yeah,
the
fuck
team?
the team.
Yeah, it was West
West
Torrens.
Torrens.
West Torrens, and they were on me whole game because I'm not calling strikes, whatnot. And I'm like, I'm calling the same thing
Not
for
that they
them.
could see from
Calling the
there
same
anyway.
thing for them. Because when I ump, I call like I'm a hitter. So I'm like, would I have swung at that pitch? Yes, I would. Strike. You know? And they're used, and when you pitch, you know, they give guys the outside. 3 feet off the frickin' plate. You ain't getting it in my house. Nah.
That's right.
You ain't getting it in my house.
if you got-
Hey, we're getting
if you got
that.
So this is what makes me laugh, man. Just get to the fucking violence.
So what happens? He's riding me, and he's on the grass doing it. So out of the corner of my eye, I see him. And I'm like, oh, no, he's not. So I call timeout. And I let him know it's going to end one of two ways. It's going to It's going to end one of two ways.
You said first of all, are you in this game?
Oh yeah, I did ask. Yeah, I did. Well, I made sure he wasn't a fan, because I'm like, why is this student, outside the dugout near the batting circle? What are you doing? And I was like, are you in this game? Are you in this game? And then he goes, yeah. Well, then get your ass in the dugout. And then it just
If you
he just
don't,
kept- he
if
just-
you don't, this is going to end.
yeah, then
in
it was
two
gonna end
ways.
in 2 ways. And then he wanted to chirp, so that made it worse.
So what did you offer him, Greg?
So I told him one of the two. So we got the one way. So the other way was me and you can step to the parking right now, and I'm gonna whoop your ass, and then I'm gonna come back and finish up in the game, and it ain't gonna take too long. So he didn't really like that, but he got back in the dugout,
He
didn't he?
did.
All right, so this is my version of the story, man. I've rocked up to my first ever home game at Div 6. I'm standing with Joel Perks. I'm watching Greg. I didn't know who the hell Greg was. And all of a sudden I've seen this come, and all I remember him going is going, 2 ways. It's either you, me in the car park, or you end up back in the fucking dugout. You fucking choose.
You win this game.
And then I remember looking at Joel going, you can, umpires can get into fights. This is the greatest game in the world.
Only Greg.
This is the greatest game in the world. But then the dude didn't go to the car park, went straight back into the dugout.
His tail was between
And I'm
his
like,
legs.
man, this is the greatest sport ever, man.
Well, the beauty was everybody that was at the park was shaking anyway. It wasn't just the kid in the
But it's
dugout.
got backstory because when we volunteer, we're always told
dude, man.
cop it if they call it their club umps, and they just were treating. I thought they were disrespecting the club. They're disrespecting me,
Sure.
and I'll throw it out. The dude probably only had played 1 year if he's lucky. So what the f does he know about balls and strikes and?
I just loved it, man. Where an umpire could nearly get into a fight. I thought it was the greatest sport
Yeah,
ever.
it probably wasn't the best thing
excellent
to
to
do.
see.
But then it was funny. I don't know his real name, but Psycho from Woodville who
Steve
came to the.
Saunders?
Steve
He
Saunders,
walks
yeah.
up to the guy and he goes, "If you think I'm crazy, I would go apologize to him real quick." Yeah, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
We're into the final 5.
Final 5?
I think
Let's
this is gonna.
go.
I think it's gonna be the longest, Ash.
That's all right.
We can go. We'll go.
We might have to do
All
an
right,
extra
so
after.
best
so-
sporting moment, dude.
Anywhere in the world. Anywhere.
Best sporting moment you've ever had.
Really, it's just playing, man. Honestly, and all the countries I've been to, I've been fortunate to play in Europe, South America, Australia, America. It's just playing,
That's
whatever
a great
level,
answer,
man.
That's a
I just and at my age
That's a
though,
great-
at my age though too, man. Because in the States, if you didn't make college out of high school,
You're done, dude.
Your career's done. There is
You're
no
done.
you're playing slow pitch softball. You're playing slow pitch, and that
And
you don't want to go there. It's good beer league,
Don't wanna
I've met a lot of American boys that turn around and just amazed that we can still play competitive sport at our age.
I have buddies back home, you should come over and play with us, and they're just amazed when I put photos up that I still play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never quit. I've been playing from the time I was 5 all the way up to now. I've never quit. So to me, anytime I can get on the field and be 5 again, that's my
That's
safety
that's
zone.
a-
That's my
He
safety
runs,
zone.
runs the seniors expendables as well, mate.
That's,
So-
that's my safety zone.
That's a fucking great answer, man. All right, most embarrassing sporting moment.
We're at an all-star game.
Oh, he's already. So they're rehearsing this shit.
No,
man.
I
Go,
got
go.
You'll laugh. At an all-star game, however many people we get, it's packed.
Yeah.
I'm in center field. I'm running out, so I'm 16 to 18, what you'd call it's big league. They're gonna have that here now. I'm running out to center field, and I catch the lip behind second base, the grass and dirt, and I fly like Superman, right? But as I'm flying, I tucked, so I did a somersault on the ground and got up and kept running. And the infielders, second and short, were like, "Holy shit! Whoa, dude, did you plan that? Yeah!" So they acted like I was Ozzie Smith. You know how I used to do the So I played it off as I'm running the center field. But then you talk about scared, because I'm like, "Thank you, Jesus, just for letting me make that." I pulled tucked and made it.
All right, one sporting moment you wish you could take back.
Nah, I wouldn't take nothing back, man. But good and bad, because what made me is a good and bad time. So there's been plenty of games we've lost, even here. Get to the grand final, got East Torrens on the ropes. It is what it is, man. We learned from it, but we still had an awesome time represented. So I wouldn't say
great
I
answer.
ain't got no bad. I don't have any bad ones.
Great
All
fucking
good,
answer.
man. All good.
All right, the big one, man. 4 o'clock in the morning, dead body. Got to get rid of it.
So you know who you're talking to, right? So is this like,
I stop there, Greg. Stop there.
is it fictitious or are we
Stop.
talking for real? Now I'm just kidding.
And what's Greg's favourite saying? I've been learning to kill for 20 years, and they gave me 5 minutes.
So are we talking like Fight Club? There is no Fight Club, or are we talking if you were to do it?
And
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, but I'm telling you right now, people, I've been looking forward to this answer, this question for freaking the whole week. So you got to bury a body. You need one person. Who is it?
Well, I'm not. I'm bringing the whole baseball club, like our playing group. And I'm bringing cartons of beer because there's going to be a good story that led up to the dead body, and then us planning it.
Who's digging the hole though?
I'll dig it.
You
'Cause
dig
I
it?
would have experience, from digging sandbagging stuff. But it's going to be a good story because all of us are going to be involved.
That's right.
Yeah, we all go down.
We all go down.
Yeah, we all go down.
Everyone's going to jail.
We all go down. One goes down. We all go down.
All right. Best Dodger you ever played with?
Now I heard last week Sam talk about Dip.
Ooh.
But I'm not gonna go Dip. Like we know Dip. Not gonna go Dip. Now mad respect. I'll give mad respect to Joel, Matt.
Right now you've only got the one.
No, I'm
dude.
just saying. I'm getting.
Don't put me in there. Don't put that in
I'm
there.
getting to it. Sam, all that. But what I'm gonna go with, and I'll tell you why after. I'm gonna put 3 in as one because you have to.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go Stingray.
Oh.
I'm gonna go Roger Prime, and I'm gonna go Moose. And the reason why is the age to be able to do what they do. Stingray catching 9 innings.
Stingray, get in that photo right now. Get up
would go play another game right after if you ask him. Stand up triples, inside the park home runs like he's 12. I'm like, me and him hit back to back in Masters one time. I'm dead. He's like ready to do it again. Yeah, just amazing. Just respect. Roger Prime, how old is he in his 70s? Just
70s,
mad
78.
respect, man.
and
Mad respect.
But just a timeout, just a quick timeout. Roger, man, I know you're going through some stuff at the moment, but hey, we're all backing you, and we love you. We love you, Rog.
Yeah,
Go hard, buddy.
But
Go
I
hard.
respect that and look up to that, man, because I still got 20-something years to get where he's at now. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. That's mad respect. Moose, man, let me tell you what, that dude is impressive.
Yeah.
Top 5 cap medal finishes with Dip too. Him and Dip finishing 1 and 2 or 1 and 3.
He still looks 40,
And what is he?
doesn't
What is
25,
Moose
yeah.
in his 60s? Is he 60?
3
3 months. Yeah, just
And he's still
amazing.
working on roofs, he's still high up. doing
Amazing, man.
10 meter
that he's
shoots.
able to hit, and the dude can still hit at a high level.
He's a good looking
At a
wrestler.
high level, the dude can still hit.
Like
To,
Roger.
to me, man, I gotta pay respect to the oldies, and I don't mean that as a disrespect.
No,
I don't
dude,
mean that
that's-
as a disrespect
dude,
at all.
I think you've just dominated the final 5, dude. I think you've dominated. And hey, mate, Greg,
Thanks
much
for having me.
appreciate you coming over.
Thanks,
for having me.
man. Love your military stuff. Love your sports stuff.
But I'm just waiting for baseball to get back in. Because, like I said, another thing I want to thank the club because when my mom and dad passed away, just from the day I became a Dodger, the way everybody welcomed me in. I'm not from here, didn't know anybody, just walked up to the club. Everybody welcomed me in, made a lot of lifelong friends, Love going to the clubs, safe spot, like I said, man, drinking beer. Just thank everybody for letting me be a part of it, man.
That's a good
Ah,
culture.
thank you for being
add
there.
to the culture as
Yeah,
well.
that's right. And what you've done with my son George and that sort of stuff, man, like I got mad respect for you
And
guys.
we got the season coming up. Looking forward to the juniors. And the other thing I want to say to the juniors and even the Div 1, man, just keep fighting hard. But you got to believe in yourself because we can all tell you how to do something. We can drill you days after days. But you got to want it, man. Just want it and go hard. And, I'm impressed by a lot of people in our club. Like I said, when I came here and I heard you play baseball, it was the greatest thing in the world. It'd be like if you were in America and you heard we had AFL teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You play AFL? That's how it is. It's like, you guys play baseball?
Hey,
Yeah.
Greg's going to love this one. We've got Dipper on September 11.
Yeah.
He's our final 10 interview in this
Number 10.
In this initial series of the White Magic starting off. So I can't wait to see what he was doing on September 11. We know what you were doing.
Yeah, we were in the underground bar. We
got to quietly smell those nice gardens shortly.
Yep.
And
And I want to kick out to you guys. Thank you for supporting us. We really, really appreciate it. We've got great guests like Greg. And hey, guys, keep supporting us. And if you've got any requests or any ideas, send them through. And we're going to try the mailbag
once the season starts there too.
next
we'll,
week. But hey, guys, muchly appreciated. Thank you very much. Stingray, go sup, get rid of those cars because we've got to get going. Thank you, guys. Hey, thanks you, Greg Rogers.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks, Grant. Big proud of you.